Namaskar, I'm Prasoon Kumar, and welcome to another episode of The Property Show. Today, we are going to take a very, very important topic, which is around sustainability and sustainability in constructions. We all know that it's a big initiative, not only worldwide, but also of Government of India, where we have taken a goal of becoming a carbon neutral country by 2070 under Paris Agreement. The construction industry is one of the largest contributors to pollution. A staggering 40% of all kind of pollutions are estimated to be generated by various construction activities. Aside to that, it also contributes a lot to greenhouse gas emissions, CO2 emissions. Therefore, is a big contributor as far as the entire environmental sustainability is concerned. Now, who knows this better than us Dailyites? We have been living and breathing pollution for quite some time now. And therefore, I think sustainable building or green building is not a matter of choice anymore. It's a necessity. India has recently been certified the third ranked country in the list of top 10 countries by LEED, where the LEED certified construction has been growing rapidly. China, of course, comes at number one, followed by Canada. United States, which has the largest number of LEED certified buildings, did not participate in the survey. But yes, this is a little bit of positive rejoice for us. However, putting this in context, United States about 56 million square feet of LEED certified spaces, while India has about 8 million, 8 odd million. So we have a long, long way to go. As I already said, construction industry accounts for about 40% of the pollution as per an estimate. Buildings are responsible for nearly 40% of carbon dioxide emission. Globally, cities occupy less than 2% of land, but they are responsible for about 70 to 75% of greenhouse gas emissions. They also consume about 2/3 of world's energy. And why is it important to know? Is because about 2.5 billion humans are living in urban cities. And this number is only going to go up as we progress. In Indian context, in last 40 years alone, Bengaluru has seen about 925% or 1,000% growth in built-up area. Mumbai has lost close to about 60% of its vegetation and 65% of its water bodies. A lot of these things, while at a macro level, look like data, but impacts us in our day-to-day life. It impacts our quality of life. And so this discussion. What is it in it for you as a viewer? Well, sustainability is important for us as human beings. We all need cleaner air. We all need overall weather conditions and the environmental conditions to improve. However, sustainability efforts will also likely to have an impact on the cost of ownership of a house. And as per an estimate, the cost of building a sustainable building or a green building is about 40% higher than a traditional one. So a lot of these things are important to be discussed. Now, to discuss all this, I've got an esteemed set of panelists in the studio. I'm joined by Dr. Shailesh Agarwal, who is Executive Director of Building Materials and Technology Promotion Council under Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Dr. Agarwal is also a former CSIR and CBRI scientist, and he specializes in earthquake engineering and structural dynamics. He has also written about 5 books and published over 100 papers. We also have Dr. Montu Mani joining us online. He's a professor at Center for Sustainable Technologies at Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru. We have Ms. Aarti Harbhajanka, who's founder and managing director at Primus Partners India, and she played a key role in Maharashtra RERA's implementation and earning a recognition from Maharashtra CM office in 2018. We have Ms. Sumati Sehgal, who is the Vice President Retail at Schneider Electric. Schneider is one of the leading cutting-edge home solutions provider, therefore is a key player in energy conservation. And we have 2 developer partners joining us today, Mr. Udit Jain, who is Managing Director at One Group, and we have Dr. Vishesh Rawat, who is Vice President and Head of Marketing Sales and CRM at N2K Group. So let's first understand what is sustainable development and what is green building per se. So let me start with you, Dr. Montu Mani. Please let our viewers know how should they understand green building or sustainable building concept.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm really honored to be amongst my fellow panelists. So if you're looking at green buildings and sustainable buildings today, We are looking at, can they restore the fact that provide indoor air quality conducive to human health? Can they restore local ecosystem services, clean up the air, reduce emissions? Right. So people are looking at restorative approaches, which wasn't there 10 years back. So today, buildings have to take on this added role of fixing the planet. And how do they do that? We're coming up with materials that absorb carbon, not those materials that predominantly emit carbon in their manufacturing. Right? Then we are looking at materials or buildings that can withstand climate change using probably passive techniques. Right? So these are all will require investments. This will also require an innovative approach to reinterpret vernacular architecture for modern applications. So the entire perspective on sustainability today goes in how can buildings play a role in promoting occupant wellness and planetary wellness.
Okay, all right. So, taking that forward from there, Dr. Shailesh Agarwal, is sustainability really about rainwater harvesting or installing solar panels, or does it go beyond that really? And if you can just say this for our viewers.
Sustainability can be defined in a whole lot of ways. Engineer will define it in a different way, architect in a different way, sociologist in a different way, economist in a different way. But let me give you a definition which will be easily comprehended by your viewers. So I define it into four components. One is resource efficiency. So whatever resources you are using to make your building, to operate your building, you need to bring in resource efficiency. For example, I talk about materials. We primarily use cement, steel, bricks, all of them, as Professor was telling, they are based on finite natural resources. And you said in the beginning, we are very fast urbanizing, and so the materials will be short.
Yes.
There will be short supply of these materials. And that is why you find cost escalation,
Yes.
time overruns, cost overruns in the project. So bring in resource efficiency where you have less dependence on materials which are based on natural resources.
Yeah.
So that is one thing. Second, energy efficiency. So energy efficiency now, thanks to enabling schemes by Government of India and global initiatives, energy efficiency is somehow understood by us that let's make homes or buildings or our infrastructure in such a way so that we have proper ventilation, proper lighting. We have passive design strategies. Means you orient your building in such a way that they remain cool in hotter time and remain warm during cold time. And so energy efficiency, the moment you bring energy efficiency, your AC load and other things, carbon emission, everything will reduce.
Yes.
Third is eco-friendliness. Use materials which are eco-friendly, which generate less greenhouse gases. You talked about carbon dioxide, and also use building materials and components which are eco-friendly, which are amenable to environment, which can be recycled as well. So nowadays another term is coming, circular economy. Whatever you give to the environment, it should come back. So it should be recycled and re-engineered, and a whole lot of things. And fourth and foremost, which is very important, better health of the occupants.
Yes.
And that will enhance your efficiency, productivity, and things. So you have to improve health of the occupant.
Dr. Montu, we'll just need one more thought from you, which is while we talk of sustainable, technologies and sustainable building and everything else, what about existing structure? Right, we are going to live with our existing structure for long. How do you reduce emissions from our existing structure? What can be done around that?
The existing structures are existing. There's a quote, I don't recollect by whom, by one of the researchers, who says that the most sustainable building is the building that is already there. Right? So we can look at retrofitting options, looking at climate change. Right? Existing buildings, by and large, are not emitting anything, but the occupants consuming energy is contributing to emissions. So there are many ways to look at it. It's not a straightforward single line answer. But yes, the buildings that are already there, first approach would be, okay, are they toxic? Okay, if they are toxic, then there's no point in having them. Second is, okay, can you do something about improving their climate response or resilience to global warming? Third is, can you reduce the energy consumption pertaining to comfort? Right? Can you make the occupants, say, naturally ventilated? In places like Delhi and all, it is of course difficult. See, it gets into a vicious cycle where you put an air conditioner thinking it maintains a cleaner indoor environment. but then the air conditioner is actually consuming electricity that comes from hundreds of kilometers away, blows it up in the urban area. So thereby it contributes to what is called urban heat. It increases the energy that is burnt in the city, which eventually leads to increase in local temperatures.
Yeah.
Right. So there are ways to go about it, but I would not state that buildings that are already there are unsustainable. They are there. We can't do anything about it. Let us see how we can improve their performance.
In the current environment, how do you see these new buildings which are coming up? We are talking about 100 more smart cities. We are talking about a whole lot of, there's a whole lot of infra construction happening alongside. What is happening there? Are we seeing implementation of a lot of these ideas and these technologies and opportunities that we are talking about, or do we have miles to go?
When we talk about construction, we realize this, and we introduced in Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana a mission called Technology Submission.
Okay.
And through this, the Technology Submission, very aggressively we are promoting use of alternate sustainable materials, sustainable development, climate resilient buildings, affordable housing, economical structure, resilient structure. So, in fact, all these state governments, including public and private agencies, they are being held and they are being made aware, sensitized about the new materials and technologies per se. And under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, if I have to give you figure, around 1.6 million houses in urban were constructing using alternate materials. And the moment I say alternate materials, it means sustainable, sustainable materials. And sustainability can be defined as energy efficient, eco-friendliness, less greenhouse gas emissions. So another thing which I would like to add is Government of India is quite serious, and if you look at other departments, even to talk about Ministry of Steel, they have already introduced a program called Green Steel. Similarly, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, they have already started how to mainstream these new materials or sustainable materials. There are white papers on circular economy. So whatever materials we are using, how they can be reutilized. So we are talking about end of life.
How much of it is getting implemented right now?
Okay, so when it comes to implementation, there are a whole lot of issues related to this. India being a federal country, housing unfortunately is a state subject. So states are free to do, but in order to create enabling environment, we are doing our bit. We are certifying, assessing these materials and technologies. We are certifying. We are also supporting them so that industries are developed and we get. Right now, the implementation problem is short supply of these materials. Although there are materials and things available, products available, but they are in short supply.
All right. So let me take this to the developers on our panel, because they are the ones who are in charge of implementation of a lot of these sustainability ideas that are there. Let me start with you, Udit. There are 2-3 things that are emerging from this discussion. One is sustainability as an effort, we heard about how affordable housing has been a major push. But at the same point of time, we have seen that over the last 2-3 years, it's the luxury or premium end of real estate which has really boomed and has been the driving force. Sustainability as a concept, not only from a construction point of view or from a project point of view, but also from sales point of view, right? I mean, appeal to the end user, to the end buyer, right? Sustainability as a concept. How strong do you think that is, and how feasible do you think that is?
Providing affordable construction, affordable housing with a sustainable green building is very difficult. So what the government is doing, that they have started providing additional FAR, which starts from 3% to up to 15%, in case you incorporate any of the green building features uh, uh, in your residential or your commercial tower. So we'll get that additional FAR. So keeping that in mind, many developers have started using the additional points and the additional FAR towards the additional FAR, and so this is driving a huge demand in the market and tilting towards the sustainable development. So sustainable development, it includes many features that the developers are using, uh, which includes green building features like rainwater harvesting, using electricity efficient lighting, air conditioning, lifts, elevators, escalators, and everything. So solar lighting is also a huge factor that is being used into.
All right. So, Vishesh, on the same, staying on the same point. This entire conundrum of affordable versus luxury in the context of sustainability, how do you see this?
Thank you, Dr. Monto and Dr. Shailesh, for making it easy for the entire panel, and the general public also is going to listen this. Uh, as a developer, I must know that whether there is a demand for this product. So we have to see P&L whether it is be feasible to develop this sustainable project or not. So I have seen in luxury products where pricing is upwards of 5 crore and 5 crore, 6 crore, 10 crores. So in that segment, people do appreciate, because this is not only the apartment they are buying additional one of the USP that this is sustainable. They can boast of it also, and they are sanitized to the fact that this is important, as Dr. Shailesh have said, that Earth lifestyle, pro planet building. So once a person can afford this thing, only then it is possible that he can do it.
Yeah, so affordability is one of the factors, and we did discuss how cost becomes an important parameter when we discuss sustainability. But before we go down that lane, let me bring in Sumiti in the discussion. Tell me, Sumiti, at Schneider, for example, being the leading supplier of a whole lot of home solutions, how do you take care of sustainability concerns, and what are some of the initiatives that you would want to put on the table?
So from a consumer trend point of view, and I will limit it to the audience here, which is more, retail consumers or end users that we are talking about, we see some very clear trends in the real estate market. In the last 2 years, the luxury housing has doubled, right? Last year's growth was about 28%. It's expected to kind of average out about 25 to 30%. So that segment is the fastest growing segment. So while I do understand from our developers' perspective, from Dr. Vishesh and Udit, that affordability is important, but India does have a clear segment of affordable housing, luxury housing and affordability being there in the end consumer, and very high degree of awareness in that segment and consciousness around sustainability. What is the home user today looking at? They're looking at what we believe as the 4 pillars of a future home, which needs to be safe, needs to be stylish, but also needs to be smart and sustainable. And the 4th pillar, which is sustainable, can happen with a amalgamation of both at the safety, style, and smart level. I'll give you a statistic. What it has seen is that, and it's proven that Bureau of Energy Efficiency says that any home which is automated can save up to 20% of energy consumption. Dr. Monto earlier referred that, what we can do for as is existing buildings, how do we make them more energy efficient? It can be through retrofit solutions of automation. The consumption of residential energy contributes to about 26% of the power energy consumption in India, right? So 26%. If that is managed better and we bring in efficiency, that itself will impact the sustainability agenda that we are all trying to drive. So one view is construction, but the second view is also bringing in terms of the consumption that the home user is doing, right? So both can be balanced very well. In terms of the trend, sustainability consciousness is very much there. It is, of course, in the upper echelons of society. So there are people who are fully aware, but it's also the onus is on organization and spokespersons like ourselves to ensure that people are aware of the impact it can make. You mentioned earlier that, breathing in Delhi is a nightmare these days, right? We are all aware about it. But Dr. Shailesh very rightly mentioned that the air within the room could be really poor. So do we have solutions today to monitor it? Yes, we do. Are they expensive? Possibly. But the consumer is very much aware of it. So as long as we can make them affordable and we can increase awareness, that's the challenge for us. And I think that there is a clear market, there's a clear awareness around that already.
Okay. So Aarti, since you have worked very, very closely with say government of Maharashtra during RERA implementation, tell me, a lot of these initiatives that the government is taking, how much of it is actually being taken over by the ecosystem players, and results, therefore what kind of results are coming out?
So that's a very interesting question. So firstly, real estate industry, like any other industry, they will adopt a new technology or a new initiative only if three things come into play. First, they have monetary benefit. So whatever new initiative they want to take, if they get profit, if they are able to make money, that's when they'll adopt. Second, if there's a regulatory compliance, that the regulator comes and says that, no, you have to make all buildings green buildings, otherwise I won't give you building plan approvals. And third is, even if the first two are not there, but customers come to me and say that, no, I want a green building, only then I'll buy, then that's where then they will do. Otherwise, no player, even if we were in their shoes, will adopt technology unless we see benefit in any of the three pillars. In terms of first monetary benefits, so as panelists before me have also mentioned, in terms of commercial real estate, so now commercial, all the players who are making commercial real estate offices, especially the IT offices, they see monetary benefits because all the IT companies, as part of their programs, they have to work in green building. So they see that additional revenue which they get. So as a result, clear monetary benefit is there. In commercial space, quite many buildings are green buildings. In terms of residential, as all the panelists before have said, luxury, yes, luxury, they charge a premium. So this, having the sustainable green building features, enables them to charge a premium. Now, the issue is in the affordable as well as in the mid-level category. To some extent, in the affordable category, because affordable housing is subsidized everywhere, right, across the world. So because of these subsidies which government gives in Ministry of Housing, Urban Affairs, state governments, etc., and because of incentives which they give, for example, many ULBs give incentives in terms of FSI, as Udit mentioned. In technology missions, they have some additional subsidy for having for adopting sustainable. So in those cases, we do see people adopting green building. So broadly, I think the momentum has started. I think people have started. But I think what is necessary is the demand generation. I think exercises like this, where we go out and tell the home buyers that why do we need green buildings? Why should they demand for a green building? If they have option to maybe say purchase two homes, if one home has additional sustainable features, why should they prefer that? I think that demand generation has to come, which I think is missing. With terms of costs, so I think, one is cost. We look at the time of purchase. So when developer builds a green building house, in fact, we have been involved in many research studies. I think around 15, 20 years ago, the incremental cost was very high. It was 18%, 20%, maybe going up to 30%. But now the incremental cost for building a green building has also substantially gone down, especially if you start the green building process for planning. In fact, studies say up to 1% only is the incremental cost, depending on the scale of the building, the kind of building you're making. But what is definitely reduced is the life cycle cost. So because of the savings in energy, because of the saving in water, etc., the payback, so even the additional 1%, 2%, 3% if you pay, over the period of 3 years, 4 years, you get back those returns because of savings in energy, savings in cost, so on and so forth. So I think this also, while the leading players, the top players have adopted green buildings and they're doing it, it's a routine for them. But real estate players in the tier 2 cities, real estate player in the mid-level and the affordable housing segment, I think over there the adoption is little slow. For us to push that adoption, we have only 3 pillars which we can play, either monetary, either regulatory or demand. I think demand is where, as a society, we need to push towards.
No, so therefore, Vishesh was talking about how, or Udit was talking about how FAR has gone up, and that's one kind of incentivization that the government is giving to developers to really adopt, this faster. But you raise a very, very important point, which is around demand generation, and that it brings me back to my question that I was asking. I mean, let me take it's straightforward first to the developers on the panel. Udit, let's start with you. Is there, according to you, is there enough demand for a proposition like sustainable building or or sustainability solutions that are put inside a building? Is there enough demand for that, including in luxury segment? Affordable, of course, we understand the challenges, because affordability and willingness to pay are two different things, right? I may afford, but my willingness to therefore invest behind those things may or may not be there. How do you see this trend?
See, as far as the demand is concerned, sustainable building is extremely important for a luxury segment, because a sustainable building is not a luxury, it is a necessity. So when I'm constructing a luxury building, the customer who is buying a luxury house upwards of 5 crores, 7 crores, 10 crores, so he looks at certain features which are there, which are compulsory for him. That he needs a building which has electrical switches, the switches switch on and switch off automatically. It has an elevator which switches on only when somebody is stepping onto it, and not just all the time. So it is extremely necessary. So as far as the demand is concerned, the demand is there in the luxury segment or even in the premium segment for a sustainable building, because the cost is not so high to incorporate all these features in a luxury or a upper mid segment building, because all these features are already there. The customer asks for them inevitably. The customer needs those features in the building, that these are the features that I require, and more or less those features are sustainable features. So automatically they are being incorporated at the planning stage itself.
Understood. So let me take this to Sumati. I mean, if developers are saying that they do see a demand, uh, do you really see that also when you're dealing with developers, when you're talking about your solutions, do you see this picking up?
Yes, absolutely. I think there is, like I said, a lot of awareness and demand from the consumer. Also, the developers are able to charge a premium for offering a sustainable building, right? Because there is a cost to it. There is a cost that can be built into the product itself, and therefore, when we talk to developers about the what is the impact that any of the solutions are making, whether any of the products use sustainable material itself. Like some of our products are made with 20% recycled ocean plastic. Now, that goes into the product. That may not increase the cost of the overall building. It's a marginal impact on the cost. But the whole conversation around building a living environment which will be more energy efficient gives a very, very differentiated proposition to the developer when they're talking to their consumers. I can talk about maybe the top 50 odd builders in the country whom we work with very closely, who actually use this and talk to their consumers, right? We do a lot of co-education efforts in taking this conversation to the consumers and showcasing to them that energy efficient or an automated home could mean 20% saving in your energy consumption. And I'll give you a little maths around it, if consumers may find it interesting. A regular home consumes about 5,500 to 5,600 units of energy, right? If you were to automate your living space and save 20%, it would mean about 1,100 units of energy saved. Um, each unit of energy is equal to about 1 kg of carbon, CO2 emission. So you're effectively saving 1,100 kgs of carbon. Converted into what is very easy for common users to understand, one tree absorbs 20 kgs of carbon. In a year, if you're actually saving 1,100 units of carbon emission, you're actually planting 50 trees. That is the impact users understand. And we have conversations around this with developers who actually are able to convert this into meaningful impact conversation, and therefore even charge accordingly for their buildings.
That's great. I think Aarti would take a lot of heart in hearing, because she was talking about whether there is a demand or not, and what can we do to generate that demand any which way. But it seems that we do see that there is a latent market over there. It just needs to be tapped. We need to have enough solutions for this market, for this segment, for us to be able to push this. But let me just bring this then to the affordable and mid segment, right? Because we all know probably this is slightly more easier or conducive to discuss in the context of luxury or premium end of the real estate. But in the mid end and the affordable end, what is it that can be done? I'll start with Vishesh. Do you think, specifically keeping the mid segment and the affordable segment in mind, there is a market where consumers will be willing to probably shell some extra money for solutions?
Mid segment, there is a category of young persons, who have been raised well, and they have this thing that they understand that why this is important. So they place value while making a purchase decision for these homes. But yes, making it, 20%, 30%, but I would ask them to pay 40% for additional features. So definitely I'm going to face challenge on that part. But yes, due to some increased FAR and using part of these green features, we can definitely make a balance. And I think future is bright, and with more and more understanding of green, because awareness is increasing day by day in the country we live in, the entire world. I understand. So it is going to stay, and this will increase, and adoption of green things will increase, and customer will also adopt. Only thing is that we need to look at how we can bring the cost down.
And I know we have been discussing about how operational efficiencies can ensure a lot of these things in construction as well. So as we come to the end of this program, let me go to all of you with one agenda, which is how do we popularize, how do we mass market sustainability as an idea, and what can really be done, right? So let me start with the policymaker, Dr. Shailesh Agarwal. What do you think can be done to really take it to masses? Our prime minister has quite a heft in kind of taking ideas to masses and converting them into some very popular narratives. What can be done really to mass market sustainability as an idea to the end consumer?
To take it forward, Government of India is trying to create an enabling environment through policy framework and through, as you said, a lot of programs, public-private partnership programs or people's participation. That is why Life Mission was started. And if you read the tagline of Life Mission, it was said that let India take the lead to bring sustainable practices and nudge the global. Nudge the globe so that the globe becomes sustainable. Then there are, if you read, there are more than 8 national missions are currently going on, like National Mission on Sustainable Urban Habitat, National Mission on Enhanced Energy Efficiency, National Solar Mission. A whole lot of missions are going on, which do provide enabling provisions so that we go towards sustainability. In Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, what we are doing, we are trying to provide technology innovation grant. Since we work for social mass housing, and I always believe that whatever we do in social mass housing, it will nudge the other sectors as well. So through that mission, we are trying to support. We have recently introduced in Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana a vertical called affordable rental housing. So we want to create pretty quickly rental housing in the country. And in that rental housing, we are saying anybody using alternate materials, sustainable practices will be given a upfront technology innovation grant.
Okay.
Secondly, to all the viewers, let me tell you, I am also Indian. We are always moved by cost, but nowadays we have introduced another term. I think one of the panelists introduced that, life cycle cost. So, if you want to be pro-planet people, you have to think in terms of life cycle cost. The moment you have created a building, that's it. This is not done. Once the service life of building is over, how you're going to demolish it? What is the operational efficiency of that building? So we are trying to, bring in life cycle cost. And believe me, the projects which are more than a certain value, there we are, putting in our tenders and in our procurement policies that let's talk about not only about costs of construction, initial cost of construction, but let's talk about life cycle cost. And the moment you put life cycle cost, you bring in embodied, the initial cost of construction, operation and maintenance cost, and end of the life cost as well. So this is what is being done.
So at policy level, a lot is happening. Our developer friends, Udit, your idea around mass marketing sustainability.
So mass marketing of sustainability has to come from the government side. So government is doing a fantastic job towards mass marketing. And as far as the builder is concerned, the builders are doing it suo motu, and they are providing all the features within the building itself. And this is and as it is an additional feature that the developer is providing their consumers and their home buyers. So so this is automatically becoming a marketing tool.
Sumati, you tell me, what could be a good idea to mass market sustainability?
So while we mass marketed in each of our roles, right, whether as part of a energy management provider or as developers, and the government is doing a lot in terms of policy, tax benefits, and enabling the sector. I think one area that possibly could be looked at, and I will speak about what we can do as brands, but I think one area that we are possibly not looking at is enabling the financial ecosystem around this. Right? Can we enable it through the right finance options to either the developers, because they are building a sustainable infrastructure or a sustainable dwelling? Could they get more benefits, faster approvals? Could homeowners get faster approvals for buildings, which are maybe more sustainable or have certifications like LEED? So the whole our financial ecosystem needs to come into and play a role over here, and I think that's one lever that we are missing out on, which we could leverage, because then that brings in a lot more conversation and enablement, right, for the end user also and for the developer as well, apart from ensuring policy and awareness. Brands like us play a critical role in ensuring that we talk to consumers about it, right from our product, from manufacturing processes that we do. In fact, also in terms of to the industry, when we talk to large industry players as well, when you're setting up large infrastructure, at that point itself, we try and bring in the conversation around the impact we are making through the materials that we use in the product manufacturing, in the whole manufacturing cycle as well, right? And then at deployment and post-deployment, one of my panelists mentioned, right, life cycle management. So at the end of this, how through the life of the home user are you making an impact is important for them to understand. So those conversations are bigger. And we all need to rise up to the challenge and do the larger conversation than doing tactical conversations alone.
Okay, Vishesh, your take on this?
I think developers will do more and more green buildings once there is a demand. So customer also need to be informed about it. Awareness is important. Marketing is important. We are moving in the right direction, but lot of things are still required. I think in terms of percentage, how many green buildings are there? It is a very minuscule percentage in residential especially. However, I think in commercial, this is quite good. In Gurgaon, NCR, if I think there have been lots of good buildings, I think around 40-50% are already using green features. And companies, MNCs, Indian companies who are taking space on lease, they fully appreciate the value of green building. So I think in commercial, we are already on the right path, but in residential, we are a bit laggard right now, and we need to put in more effort. All stakeholders need to put in some more efforts.
Okay. So in the end, Aarti, last words to you. You raised the point of demand. You said, "Is there enough? Should there be more?" You tell me, what can be really done to make it happen?
Prasan, I'm a strong believer of practice what you preach. So I think to begin with, first, government should ensure that going ahead, every building which it constructs, every office, every every building which it goes on rent, and even affordable housing which government constructs has to be a green building. And they are to every infra, every road, every bridge, everything, it has to be a green building, and they have to propagate that this is a green building, these are the features, so on and so forth. So I think that is first a must. Second, so we have our Gen Zs, our millennials, our Gen Alpha, I think, which are the future of our country. So can we start a drive in their schools, in their colleges about sustainability? In fact, I think already much is being doing. My son is studying right now in school, and he talks about Mama recycling, Mama, what features do we have at our home? So I think this is one asset which we should leverage. There's much more which we can do, but to begin with, I think these two are good starting points.
Yeah, wonderful idea. It starts at the school itself. Viewers, today we discussed a very, very important topic. There are 3-4 important things that are emerging out of this. One is sustainability is no longer a choice, it's a necessity. Two is the way things are moving. Sustainability is at the very core of the planning and development as it is, due to our commitments on international forums or even national policies and other matters that are there. Three is developers and other ecosystem partners are proactively adopting it. And last but not the least, for mass awareness of sustainability, we got to start young. and to leave you with a very, very interesting thought. It is estimated that 10 years from now, the buyers in the real estate and industry would largely be Gen Zs and millennials. Now, these cohorts are the ones who are far more aware, who probably take the lead in changing the course of environment. They are concerned about environmental degradation, and they are the ones who are doing a lot of activities around it. So probably in years to come, we'll see a natural demand coming for sustainability solutions in construction and real estate solutions. On that note, and with that hope, we end this program. Do write to us what do you think about it and send your questions. We have esteemed panelists here. We'll send it to them and they can answer all your queries related to it. Keep watching MBTV. Namaskar.